Thanks for stopping by Big Top Gaming. My name's Brian.
And I'm Ethan.
And we've got a 25-point Brawl Machine battle. I guess it doesn't matter how many points I say it, because Brawl Machine's always 25 right now.
You never know.
I wonder what the 50-point one is. Like, is it going to be Tussle Machine?
It's going to be We Don't Play Machine. So this week I'm back again with Legion, hoping to redeem them on the channel. This week I wanted to try out one of those casters where you don't really ever see them or even remember they exist in normal machine. So I got myself some Lylyth 1 action. I figured at 25 points she might be able to influence the table with Spine Burst, or she can like put out a pursuit to keep her battle group safe endgame, or even like a parasite just for a good turn. And I wanted to try and maximize the feat as much as I can, so I'm playing in Child of the Dragon. I got a Succubus, Zuriel for some sweet kill shot sprays and his dual attack sprays on feet, a Bolt Thrower, and a Mechanithralls. And then my rec options are Craelix, and then I have a Nyss Shepherd, and I have the max unit of Blighted Nyss Archers with Officers for their sweet rate of fire 2 under feet, CRAs. You can do some cool like windfalling stuff. And then for my rec options, I have a Blighted Nyss Sorcerer, a Spell Modder, a Gobber Chef, and a unit of Ice Witches to
for
swap
your
out.
specialists.
For my specialists.
Yep.
I said that. Sideboard specialist?
You said rec options. It's like, that's a lot of recs for 25 points.
Oh, I mean, the Nyss Sorcerer would swap for a rec option.
So I decided to drop Cryx this time, and I was kind of having a problem deciding on which caster I wanted to play with, and then Wraith Witch Deneghra kind of struck out to me as something that would be interesting to see in Brawl Machine, so I started building her in Black Industries, and I'm bringing a Deathripper and the Slayer, but then I'm also bringing the pricey Deathjack, who himself is almost the cost of an entire Brawl Machine list. But I think Deneghra 2 gets a lot of use out of him, so he's definitely going to make it in here, being able to cast spells and do a bunch of other cool stuff. For the rest of the list, I've got one Necrotech for those clutch repairs. I don't think I'll get of course, against Ethan, I'm not going to get a chance to make any scrap thralls, but at least it's there for other games, right? And like I said, mostly the repair for the getting Deathjack or a Deathripper back up and running is good. I have a unit of Black Ogrun Ironmongers because Deneghra 2 doesn't really bring a hit buff. So having the ability to curse things is really important with this list. And when push comes to shove, they're not bad at fighting, being Mat 6 with POW 12, and they've got Dismantle, so that's cool. But they also repair D3, or D3 plus 1, so that's another good reason to bring these along. And then for the rest of the list, I've brought a min unit of Mechanithralls, and then my requisition is 3 Brute Thrall weapon attachments. This is one of those few requisition options that you can take multiples of because the weapon attachments don't have the 1 FA rule. So it's nice to be able to get some free shield guards, and if they end up getting up the table and into people's faces, they actually do quite a bit of damage. With this one being able to ambush, there might be some cool things that we can do with those too, but we'll see how that shakes out here. For my specialists, I have a Hellslinger Phantom just because it's a big point rec option, and I wasn't really thinking that there was much else that I wanted. I do have some little tinkery solos where there's a Machine Wraith, a Soul Trapper, and then Scrap Thralls for extra flag control. But then I put Bloody Bradigan in here because I had 3 points left over and figured instead of just dropping 3 points, I'd put something in there. So I highly doubt this guy will ever see the table, but it's if it could happen, I guess maybe it could happen. You never know when a stumbling drunk berserking Mat 7 0.5-inch weapon master at POW 9 is going to come in handy.
So I won the roll and elected to go first because I wanted to be able to get up the board, because if Denny goes first, runs, she can feat top of 2 and just run to like engage and kind of set the line. So maybe I can get some work done pre-feat, because unfortunately the only magical weapons in my list currently is Lylyth. So,
yep. And it's worth noting right now with you're seeing a bunch of swordsmen run up. I don't have the Nyss Archers, so I just figured we'd proxy with these until I grab them. I just haven't committed to them yet.
Yeah, and I put them kind of wide because I wanted them to run around the building, and luckily, or the obstruction, and luckily he put the Deathripper on the other side of the board, because like Hellmouth is gonna, in my mind, ruin their day. If it hits, it auto kills, and then there goes an AoE 3 plump of dudes that just evaporate. So I want to try and get up the board, get some work done before his feat, and that's going to be hard because Black Industry still has Carapace as a field benefit. So like even Lylyth on feat turn, her guns are going to be dice -9, and he's got 3 shield guards. So I'm just kind of running up. Lylyth ran max distance just to try and maybe put some pressure on Denny, and then flip the clock.
So you'll notice that I didn't ambush my Mechanithralls. We ended up rolling random scenario for this go around, and we hit Syzygy again. So on this scenario, it's not that the ambushers are worthless. It's more so that the pieces of terrain that are on the sides of the table are making it so that ambushing is not really in their best interest. We got that huge pile of burning earth there, which is a forest and a cloud, and the Mechanithralls don't really interact with that much. And then on the other side, there's the acid pool in the building kind of blocking off their efficacy over there. So I figured it was better to keep them on the table, especially against someone like Lylyth. Being able to have access to 3 shield guards feels really valuable. And right now, the reason why this is taking me so long to get things figured out was that Lylyth is hanging out pretty far, and I wanted to see if maybe there was a way I could try and get some spells on her right away, or get some damage out, or maybe even pull out some weird long bomb assassination, because I think I came from a different era of Denny 2 where her threat ranges were quite extreme, and now it's not that it's so much different. I feel like she just dropped a little bit, of course, mostly because of rules changes and stuff. I did play Deneghra 2 a couple times in her Body and Soul days, but mostly I'd played her in Black Industries when Mark III had hit, so I'm still familiar with her, but just crossing the wires a little bit since it's been a while. Otherwise, I'm trying to keep things mostly out of Ethan's threat ranges. Zuriel, I don't want to lose Deathjack to Zuriel. Like, I do not want to lose a 23-point heavy to Ethan on turn 2. So I'm trying to finagle a way to get him positioned behind this wall to where Zuriel just can't do anything. But for whatever reason, like, my brain just isn't clicking with a good place to put him, so I'm just like, screw it, I'll leave him outside 13 inches and not deal with this anymore. The Mechanithralls are kind of like, they're kind of not in the greatest spot in the world, especially with these Brute Thralls hanging way out on the wings. I've got some shield guards to my Arc Node because I feel like that's a valuable piece to keep around, and then there are a couple shield guards that are going to be able to catch Deneghra and the Slayer. Otherwise, the Ironmongers run up, and I think that rounds out my turn.
So he's respected my threat ranges, and to be honest, I'm not quite sure how to unpack this. Because he still has his feet in his pocket, I didn't threaten far enough to bait it out, because Zuriel with the Mechanishredder Animus can charge 11 against one of his jacks. I probably wouldn't one-round it, maybe, because I don't have a free... or no, you get the free charge. I would probably cripple something, but he has enough for pair bots. And Lylyth would really like to... like, there's a lot she wants to do, but she doesn't have the Fury stat to do it, because I'd like to get Pursuit out early, just so I have the Succubus so I can upkeep for free. That way maybe I can keep my heavies alive. I'd like to Parasite. That way maybe I can do some gun damage with her during her feat turn, or during Lylyth's feat turn. And then I'm also thinking about like Spine Bursting to try and kill some Mechanithralls, because I am terrified of Hellmouth shenanigans, because I've played Wormwood a bunch. I know how brutal it can be, like +3 threat on your dudes by Hellmouthing a dude in front of your dude, and then 3 inches by Hellmouthing a dude that's in front of your opponent's stuff, and like Deathjack can cast it, which leaves Denny enough to cast it so he can do a double Hellmouth. So I believe Lylyth went here, backed up just within 12, because I forgot Farstrike existed for a hot minute, and I believe I feated just because I wanted to try and feat before he feats, because I feel like his feat's going to time walk me, and I'm not going to have a lot left. So she shot the Slayer to try and Witchmark, which he shield guarded, and I believe I just boosted damage to try and get rid of a Brute Thrall.
I think those were Eruption of Spines.
Yep. I boosted damage on the Brute Thrall and Eruptions of Spine with my Witchmark from the back line, but it only killed a couple.
Mm-hmm.
Now he's going up.
The Bolt Thrower, yeah.
Yep, Bolt Thrower went up, shot the Bonejack again. You shield guarded it, was able to boost and kill a Mechanithrall, or a Brute Thrall. So I'm hoping Craelix under feet can maybe do some work. I'm hoping to cripple the Arcano because that helps me like not have to worry about as much Hellmouth shenanigans up front without Denny just trivially being safe. So he shield guards. I did poison, but they're undead, so I don't get the poison damage. And the first one got shield guarded. The second one did 2 damage. And then the third shot cranks it and takes out his Arc Node.
Yep, pretty hard too. Yeah, that Jack's about half health right now.
At dice -4, I rolled boxcars to the specific column, but there is a Necrotech within 6, so that's unfortunate. And I'm just trying to plan out. The Succubus goes up. That she's going to be putting the cloud on the Mechanishredder. And that's where he's walking to try and block line of sight to Lylyth. And I think as soon as I did that, I was like, this is where I remembered, like, I've played Hellmouth enough to know, like, I just put a Hellmouth beacon in front of my caster. So I tried to put Zuriel up. That way, like, maybe it would help block some line of sight things. He goes up, clears the zone by boosting a spray, and then puts Elusive up. Because I'm hoping if he misses with dodge, I think in my head Zuriel's stats were a little bit better because your stats weren't as good. Like I keep forgetting Slayers are mat 7 and Deathjack's mat 8, and then Curse puts them to 9 and to 10 respectively.
Also, Zuriel's a lot of points, so you just expect him to be better than even post CID. You expect him to be better than he is.
I mean, he's a 17-point power 16 combo strike, dual attack, kill shot, elusive, war beast.
I just feel like he should be a little bit better. So you didn't pop your little ammo porter thing right now.
They always have it now.
Oh yeah, sorry.
While he's in formation.
But you've got one Ironmonger to tough, and one Ironmonger took a couple points of damage. So now you're just trying to pepper those off.
Yeah, it's hard to explain and show over the video, but like I was doing like 3-man CRAs. I did the 3-man, then the 2-man, and then like when he toughed, I did a single shot, and then that guy took a second shot with a CRA for the first shot of the next dude. And then that dude took his second shot with a CRA of another dude. And I was doing like
just
3
got
or 4
real
man.
complicated.
Yeah, and you can't really tell from the video, but basically everybody's getting their 2 shots, but there's some that are out in the back, and I'm just trying to take the Mongers off, but I got nothing to get to that last one, I think.
Nope, nothing to get to the last one, but you did get one of my shield guards.
Yep. And then they pop a shot into Deathjack, and then, of course, with Carapace, it does nothing. And now I'm just trying to repo. Like, that's just Hellmouth City over there, and I can't stop it. So I'm just trying to basically keep the UA alive and just put everybody else up max command, and then try to keep it in so that way maybe the whole unit doesn't die. And if he wants to do it, it's going to take Deathjack's stack, and then maybe he's not going for my heavies. I'm just trying to present options.
So it comes to the top of turn 2 for me, and I'm no stranger to Hellmouth. More so, it's been cast on me a bunch of times because I couldn't exist in a world where Wormwood didn't just like always get played into me. But these days, it doesn't exist as much, I guess. But I know that I've got the Hellmouth target in the Mekanoshredder there, and he is very much close enough to pull Lylyth into threat range of the Slayer. So I've got my target set up here, and I put the proxy base down to make sure that if I pull Lylyth in, I can get to her. So I end up loading Deathjack up fully, because, or not full, well, I get him as full as he can go with Deneghra. And then I fully load the Slayer because my plan is to boost the Hellmouth into the Mekanoshredder because I don't want to miss on a 6. Oh, wait, no, are you 15 in that cloud or 13?
I would be 14, I want
14,
to say.
so I'd need a 7, and I didn't want to miss on it. So I decided to run the Mechanithralls out of the way because this way I can at least... First, I get the Necrotech onto the Arc Node to repair and get that out there just so that I can get Damnation out from Denny. There's like a lot of pieces. It's not a complicated puzzle piece to get this all together, but there are some things that need to happen to get this assassination to work. So Deathjack goes up and decides to launch the Hellmouth into the Mekanoshredder. I end up hitting, and now we get to do the whole, Zuriel's close enough to pull, which I knew he was, but I didn't think that I didn't factor him into my Slayer placement. So now when I get the proxy base down after all of this has come together, I realized that I am not able to get melee on Lylyth 1. So now I've just got to come up with a different plan. And I haven't cast Damnation yet, so I at least have that going for me. I can kind of like readjust what I'm going to do based off of this. So instead of going after Lylyth, I'm going to be putting Damnation onto Zuriel, because I think the Slayer can take him out pretty decent. I mean, I don't have Curse of Shadows out there, so he's still going to get his Unyielding, and it'll be dice off 2, but it shouldn't be so terrible. So my Arc Node gets into position just to be 8 inches out from Zuriel. Deneghra kind of floats to the other side of the flag and decides to boost her Damnation into Zuriel, because I still need a 6 to hit him, and I really just don't want it to miss. I think I feat 2, so I only end up getting 4 models, and I put the Incorporeal on the Slayer, and then I realized that's stupid because you're just going to attack right away. So I put it on my Shield Guard, and just so that I could keep that around a little bit. So next up, I'm checking to see if the Ironmonger can go up and curse Zuriel, because I would really like to be able to hit on 5s or hit on 4s instead of 6s.
Hit on 3s.
3s, sorry, with the Slayer.
Oh, yeah, Slayer is 4s.
Slayer's 4s, yeah. Because the Deathjack had to get the Hellmouth out. So Damnation went out on Zuriel, no problem. The Slayer goes and charges for free, hits easy peasy, and does a decent amount of damage with the first hit. Not a ton, but just like a little above average.
You took out his Spirit at dice -3.
Whatever, it's average.
Your dice -3, and you can see my grid going down.
Yep, so I end up burning through my initials, and Zuriel's not sitting too happy right now, and I think this bot attack, not the first bot attack, but the second bot attack is what pulls him off the table. Or, no, I guess I have to use the
last
whole stack.
attack. You rolled, I think, a 3.
Yeah, and that's unfortunate because I did want some extra attacks to go into the Mekanoshredder, but I'm not in a bad spot.
So Zuriel going down is a real kick in the pants, because he's my heavy hitter of the list. I can do a couple CRAs with the archers, but with Carapace, it's basically like I get 2 shots. I maybe do like 5 to 7.
Yeah, they go up to like what dice damage against armor 23.
Oh, you'd be 21.
He's 19, or Deathjack's 19. I'm sorry, I pointed at the screen and said he's 19. So Deathjack's base 19, so he'd go up to 23.
Yeah.
The 21 on the Slayer's different. Yeah.
Yeah. So what I did there was the bolt thrower aimed, shot into melee, because I was hoping to push him, because he was still engaged with the Mechanishredder. I was hoping to crit knock him down. That way Lylyth could aim where she is and try and shoot Denny, because at my mind, my only out is killing Denny.
Yep, and Denny is naked right now.
And I didn't crit, so he's not knocked down. Craelix goes, just pops a couple Mechanithralls. In hindsight, he could have went for Denny, but he needed 9s. And yeah, he should have went for Denny.
Yeah, he should have, for sure.
There's 0 reasons why he didn't. So Lylyth goes. I have 5 focus. I'm able to get within 12, boost the hit, because I need a 9 boost damage. I'm mathing out here. If I boost damage, I can't parasite, but if I parasite, I can't boost the next one, so I have to just go for 2 fully boosted. That one does really good. My second attack misses, so that's not good, because now I'm just sitting there in the middle, because I couldn't really do anything to Deathjack, so Deathjack's going to do whatever he feels like. So my hope here is to maybe contest his flag, jam up his army, and then maybe make him clock killing my dudes, and maybe pull out this weird turn 5 scenario win if I can run Lylyth away next turn. And here we realize like I forgot to do fire checks on those, so they both just die. But that's pretty much all I got in the tank, and I'm just running down. I'm just running dudes that get in the way to stop like some weird shenanigans and moving around. But Lylyth's just in the open.
So I'm lucky to have survived that. But now I've just got to untie this like a bunch of Nyss archers that are kind of in my way here. Like my ultimate goal is to get Curse onto Lylyth from an Ironmonger because they're already close enough to do that. And then I need to try and clear out all these Nyss so that the Deathjack can just walk up to her and do stuff. So the Slayer kind of turns around as we drop him on the table. And he's going to be pulling out a couple of the Nyss the Nyss archers. I probably could have used Nyss hunters for this. They're really cool looking because they have the cool conversions and stuff, but whatever. So he kills 2 of them, and then I think I tried to take a head attack into the Mekanoshredder and didn't really connect or do enough damage to do anything.
I think you missed. Oh, Craelix didn't shoot you because you were incorporeal.
Oh,
He's just
from Wraithwalker, yeah. So I ended up getting some of those out of the way from the Slayer attacks. So now my next thing is to just line up my Defiler to start getting the Venoms out to kind of clear these off too, because Denny can throw out a couple of these, and I don't think I really need to boost. But in hindsight, now that I'm going through it, Ethan let me go back and allocate to Deathjack because I needed all 5 on there. So with Denny, I go ahead and cast my Venom, and now I'm boosting hits because I do realize that it's probably better for me to get these out of the way guaranteed. And they get hit and they fall down easy because it's just a POW 10, and they need not 1s, I think, to kill. So the next thing up then is just the Ironmonger moving up and cursing Lylyth. And since I can't get rid of that other Nyss archer, I'm just going to waltz Deathjack through. And that just means I take a free strike from a Nyss archer, which I'm not overly concerned about.
I have dice minus 12.
Yeah, no problems. So I have no issues getting to her. I connect, and we start throwing dice for the hits or something. Oh, I think that was your free strike. So I don't have to boost because I only need 6s to hit, and I've just got a ton of attacks on Deathjack, and I think I get her with just my initials.
No, because I have 1 transfer.
Oh, yeah, so I had to go through the transfer, and then this attack, I believe, is the one that connects and then just roasts her.
Yep. So for my sideboard, this is probably the most dramatic sideboard swap I've ever done. I swapped everything in. I took out the Nyss archers with the UA for 18 points and swapped in my entire 15-point sideboard to play 3 points down because like the Nyss archers into his Carapace heavies weren't going to do anything, and they were just Hellmouth beacons, and like he would just literally take 1 turn of Denny casting a Hellmouth and Deathjack casting a Hellmouth on his feet turn, because fun fact, if you're incorporeal, magic attacks don't stop you from being incorporeal, because it's just when you make a melee or ranged attack. So Deathjack can walk up on your feet, be incorporeal, and just still be safe from everything. So that gets me like the Nyss Sorceress, maybe I can contest more, Spell Martyr for more angles, the Ice Witches for a few more magic attacks. They won't really do much to his jacks, but maybe they can clear like some Brute Thralls and stuff, and they'll get me Puppet Master, which would have drastically helped my assassination run last game because I believe I missed by 1. And then that would have maybe helped me kill her.
My sideboard doesn't really offer me anything different or anything better than what I've already got. I've got the 3 shield guards for the wreck option, so there's no reason to bring in the Hellslinger. And I don't feel like I need to pull out the Mechanithralls to bring in the solo packages because Syzygy is just such a weird scenario to try and score out on. You can do it, but by the time you're gaining scenario momentum, you've kind of already won the game, I think. So nothing comes in from my sideboard. The list is really functioning well the way it's set up.
So I elect to go first again because I lost the game. This time I have a little bit better understanding, and I'm like remembering Hellmouth tricks. And I do not want him getting up the board, and I just want to get up the table and maybe try out the new list, see how it changes things. So there, I'm respecting Deathjack's trample and necromancy.
Yeah, the necromancy thing.
I was going to say geomancy, but I can't remember what his is because he can cast focus 4 spells, whereas geomancy is capped at 3. Cryxromancy. So everything's just running up outside threats. I'm going to be trying to use the Flyboy as like a contest piece because he's speed 8, flight, he can go wide, maybe force his backlines to turn around. The battle group pretty much deployed in the same spot, and so did Craelix. I'm just running up, camping 1 extra this turn because I just had the Mechanithralls walk, and then the witches just follow up.
I ended up taking this side of the table again. I don't think I explained it in the first round at all why I kept this side, but the wall in the zone is a really nice defensively positioned wall, and I feel like Lylyth would really appreciate that wall, and I don't want her to get behind it to take advantage of it. So my turn 1 deployment is really similar to the other one that I had. I think that things worked out all right, and it looks like the way that Ethan's moved up, it's kind of been the same way it was before, kind of funneled between those 2 obstructions, and it lets me set up a pretty predictable turn 1 into turn 2. Now I'm just kind of running haphazardly, and one of the things you're going to notice as I'm positioning here is that my shield guards really aren't exactly where they should be, so I think I'm getting a little bit more haphazard with the way I'm unpacking this turn because game 1 went so well for me in terms of my defensive capabilities. And now I'm kind of like screwballing around with this arc node, and he has to run a weird way to get extended up.
So this game, I know I'm not going to be feeding before he feats. I feel like in my mind, my feat is going to be for when I try and kill Denny, because I feel like that's how most these games are going to boil down to. Like, I won't be able to deal with his jacks, and because he'll be feated, and they'll be in the zone, and then I will try and Hail Mary's caster. So Zuriel walks up within outside 12, puts up elusive, just to try and be out of his damnation charge threat, but of course that doesn't factor in Hellmouth because I have to be in the zones. So now Lylyth is just kind of figuring out where she has to exist, because she would like to be outside 12 but within 16 of Denny, because I'm going to snipe, and this is the turn I noticed where there's no shield guards around her, so I want to witch mark and get out a parasite, which I land. And now I'm outside 12 of the Slayer. Damage, she's camping, so I don't even bother.
I think that was the shot from the bolt thrower to knock her down.
Oh, yep, the bolt thrower crit knocked her down, which was really cute. And then I think I ended up actually pushing her into shield guard range.
Yeah, she gets 1 shield guard because of where she was expertly pushed.
Yeah, so that was fun. But I figured I'd just try and like make Denny have to play cagey instead of letting her run the board. So now Lylyth does the whole like far strike outside 12 of the Slayer within 16, and then boosts a Witchmark shot, which he shield guards. I opt to boost damage to try and remove a shield guard. Or no, I don't, because I need it to...
You need the focus for Denny.
Yep. So I reload. Or I don't reload. I boost the next one. I parasite. So now I'm... Oh, no, I don't boost because you're knocked down. So I'm camping... I want to say 2.
Yep, and then Denny's parasited, so she's in a really weird spot for the rest of the game.
So now Craelix goes up. I'm debating shooting Mechanithralls, but I don't really care about them that much. But I was like, maybe I can cripple his Arc Node again, because now the Arc Node is outside of repair range. So I do shoot the Arc Node. He shield guards once, do a couple points, hit again. This one does really well, but it doesn't take out his Arc Node. It takes out his Cortex.
Yep.
So he's still like in a position to be relevant all game with just walking and Hellmouthing. So support just keeps around in the back. And now here I'm being cute. I'm running the Goober to basically be within 16 of his flag, because I feel like he's going to incorporeal and move forward. That way I can run through stuff. And if he doesn't want to deal with the Goober, if he does want to deal with the Goober, it's going to take Deathjack. And like that's cool with me. And then Hellion just kind of boogies up. And then I put a cloud on Zuriel.
So I think in game 1 my positioning was pretty great, if I had to pat myself on the back. But in this game my positioning was trash. So my Arc Node is damaged, and my Necrotech can't go over there and fix it up. My Ironmongers aren't in the greatest position to be able to get out curses because they're just not they're not close enough to do anything with it. But the one thing that I do notice is that I can just make a little Hellmouth beacon out of my Mechanithralls. They're def 10 in the butt, so I don't even need to worry about boosting on Deathjack. So I kind of plot out to be like, okay, well, I can move this Mechanithrall, which is now taking the place of the little swamp goober, and get him within 3 of Lylyth and not within 3 of anything else. So I run those around, and then Ethan is kind enough to point out to me that I can't cast spells on models that are not in formation, so we end up kind of swapping positions with the leader a little bit. And I have had plenty of movement to get it to where he would be in command, but this was kind of sloppy of me, but I think Ethan wanted to just not pull any weird gotcha moves on me.
Yeah, like, if you don't play a Hellmouth caster, that's not a rule you know that often. Like, I play Wormwood, I know that rule. So, like, I figured it'd be better just to showcase what she can do instead of, like, a gotcha on yourself.
Yeah, it's like a rules gotcha. So I do get the Hellmouth and pull Lylyth in. I think I end up cranking her for, like, 5 damage, and you end up taking it instead of shunting it away.
Yeah, you do 4 or 5, because, like, I think, actually, I'm only camping 1.
Yeah,
so.
I think there's 1 Fury on her.
Yep, so
I've got her within charge range of the Slayer, and that's if I get Damnation out. So I'm able to move my Arc Node up and get within 8 of Lylyth and boost a Damnation into her, and then I'm still sitting on 2, so I just decide to camp that instead of throwing out like a rando
I
Venom.
think you're naked, actually.
I feel like there's 2 focus behind that.
Because you forgot to allocate to the Slayer.
You're right. That's where it was. So we kind of, like, sloppy play is kind of just what happened here a little bit. So I do feat, and I get enough models to get everything that I want to be incorporeal in case this goes goes real bad for me. So I get the Slayer in with that free charge, and I boost the charge. I miss. Then I boost the next one and miss. Then I hit the head with no boosts, and then I end up cranking her for a couple damage. 5, that one looked there. There's where that 5 came out.
Yep, she's on 5, and you had 1 attack left, and I think that one missed.
Yep, that one. No, that one. The last attack that I bought missed because it was unboosted. So now I'm running Ironmongers into place because I need to stay scenario relevant still because this assassination run went really, really south.
So I survived just barely, so that was nice. Otherwise, like, that would have just been a real kick in the face. But now I have
especially since she would have died in the same spot.
Yep. So now I have another Hail Mary shot. This time I have Puppet Master stuff, and she's already parasited that I can upkeep for. I can't upkeep for free because he drugged me out of Succubus range. Because I was within her command, and then you drug me out, so I do have to spend 1 to upkeep it.
That's that hot tech for you.
Yeah. So, like, I can't Far Strike myself and then boost to the hits, but I think I can get... So here I'm being cute. Goober runs up within 4 just to contest in case this goes terribly wrong, and I need to try and, like, fall back and do a scenario play. And there I'm checking, like, okay, who's contesting the flag? I believe the Ironmongers are incorporeal. This turns to only Lylyth could kill him, so, like, I was thinking, like, what if I kill the dude on his flag, the other Ironmonger that's back there, and I run the Hellion to score his flag, score my flag, and score the middle flag, but I don't have enough magical attacks. Like, I just physically do not, because it's Lylyth, the Ice Witches are too far away, and the Hellion would either run to the flag, so I opt to instead going through and try and kill Denny, because I feel like that's my only out.
Yeah,
it's not my only out.
It's just a good out because Parasite Honor gives you some good odds, and your feet, so you got a lot of good opportunities to do so.
Because it gets weird, because I'd like to Parasite the Slayer and then Pursuit Deathjack so I can get away, and then maybe not die, because that way, like, I could just take a free strike and walk away when Deathjack goes, but then the fact that I can't really swap it to the Slayer without shooting. And here's where I do super cute. The Bolt Thrower moves up, boosts the hit Denny. I can't damage her, but I can crit knock her down with Thunderbolt, because you can't be pushed when incorporeal, but you can be knocked down. I miss, I Puppet Master, I miss again, so it was just like some cute tech I was hoping to do. Zuriel, he flies up, forces for a headbutt, hits. So now the Slayer is knocked down. That way... he is not. I'm not engaged with Lylyth. That way, Lylyth can stay where she is aim, and then she's within 12 of Denny. So that way I don't have to walk around. I can aim to rat 9. And there was the headbutt damage. So now here's where we're measuring. I got to pick up.
I think you might have bought one attack against him that did some stuff.
Oh, I bought 2 attacks. So I'm like, might as well. And I did like no damage. So Lylyth is within 12. I'm going to feat. So now her feat is additional die on attack rolls. So I can boost for 4 dice. And now I boost damage. It's dice damage thanks to Parasite. He negates it down. And now the second one does 9 with lever on 1. I Puppet Master it. I roll 9 and lever on 1. So now I'm pretty much like deep in the tank. So I'm like, can I get this Hellion to fly over into my control and get that way the additional die to hit with Magic Ability 6 or Magic Ability 7. But with a 10-inch control area and Lylyth aimed instead of walking. Because originally my plan was to have this as a fallback and walk over. But I realized like I wanted to aim to help get the dice. But I guess like a 4-dice boosted 9 was probably better than a 4-dice boosted 7.
It seems like it's not, they're comparable, right? There's not really a big problem between the two. Yeah. So instead you opt to fly her behind Deneghra and need that 7 to connect. And she does. And then you just need to roll a little bit. Yeah, you got her here. So
because it was dice damage and she had nothing left.
Yep, so there's the 1 damage on her and the unfortunate response of not preparing to stop yourself from a bad assassination. Not that your assassination went bad, mine went bad, and then I didn't have a contingency plan.
Yeah.
Big shocker, but I'm still not sideboarding anything in. My list is still working perfectly, even though that assassination didn't work out for me. So I'm just leaving everything the way it is.
And then for me, I'm leaving it as it is because I don't want those stupid archers back in the list. So I'd rather just play points down, as bad as that is, and try to fight my way up.
So this is kind of the moment I've been waiting for. Now I get to go first and project my threat out there. So winning game 1 in Warmachine just always feels really strong because you get the game and then your opponent's going to end up taking turn 2. So if you're one of those people who believes that turn 2 is the worst thing in the universe, you can lose that game and then get turn 1 again and then project your threat up a little bit more. So I'm really stoked to be able to put everything as far up as I can to stay out of extreme threat ranges. Like some of these, like the Arc Node, I don't want in Lylyth's threat. I thought it was 21, but it seems like it's 23. So I have to adjust these guys back a little bit. That's why you kind of see me jumbling with these models, because I'm like, the idea here was to stay out of Lylyth's threat, but I was just, I misestimated by 2 inches. Deathjack is in threat of Lylyth, but if she wants to take dice off 11s, or 12s into Deathjack, I'm perfectly fine with that being her existence. And then the rest of this just kind of runs up and my shield guards are really centered in where they need to be.
So I think I moved my T eventually. Like I'm used to it being on my right side when I'm on the other side of the table. So here I'm actually thankful that he put Deathjack in my threat because... but here he's checking shield guards. It turns out he has both of them in shield guard side. My plan was to walk up and get an early game Parasite on Deathjack or even pursuit him turn 1 and upkeeping it the rest of the game.
Getting pursuit out on turn 1? That seems so good.
I know. But,
so brokenly good, Ethan.
Yeah, but I actually have to hit. And you got to move first.
It was a body and soul joke.
I know. That's what I was saying. So I have to boost the X. He's behind the wall. He shield guards, I boost damage, and then it doesn't kill the guy, and then the second shot, I boost a hit, misses. So I was hoping this way just maybe to take out the Brute Thralls pre-feat.
Yeah, because I'm stopping a spell from getting on Deathjack by trading my Brute Thralls away, so I feel like that's fine to do that instead of just get an early pursuit on him.
Yep. So, and then I measured to make sure Lylyth was out of something running to stupidly Hellmouth her 3 inches farther. He could run the Arc Node, but then like he doesn't have anything that gets there. So now I get to spend a lot of my turn playing wide, and then also once you start seeing me, I have to bust out the 3-inch widget because even if he's not going to Hellmouth like in specific areas, I have to respect the fact that he can. Because like if I place stuff within 3 inches of that Hellion and he's like, okay, I'm going to helm out that Hellion and grab 3 models over there for free just because you spaced bad. So like it's going to eat a lot of my clock that I'd like to not be wasting, but I have to respect it. There I'm measuring the damnation threat, but then I'm like, okay, what if you run this dude up and then you hellmouth him forward? And I was like, if you really want to do that for a bolt thrower, please go ahead. So the bolt thrower is just outside 12, but in hellmouth threat. And then Zuriel's just going to walk up or run. He's going to be tucked behind the bolt thrower, so that way if he wants to hellmouth, I'll hit the bolt thrower first, so I'll be out of melee threat on stuff. And then the witches are just kind of flanking up, trying. Everybody's like staying out of 3. And that's the name of this turn. Like, this turn should not have taken this long for me making only 2 attacks. But you got to respect Hellmouth.
So Ethan's done a good job dealing with the whole Hellmouth thing. Like, he's right. I don't plan to use it on the top of 2, but if there's an opportunity to do something, I have a lot of ways to get Hellmouth out there and not really lose a whole lot in return. Whether it's just kind of popping some low armor things or maybe getting that Hellion off the table. Those are all things that I'll do if the opportunity presents itself. And more so if I can get the Hellmouth to maybe extend threat or pull things in and 2-for-1 things, then that's probably where I'll take the opportunity there. But he's done a good job positioning everything out. So I'm kind of thinking like we're in game 3, the pressure's on, and I'm not quite sure what I want to do. Like, Deneghra's kind of tucked behind this obstruction, which is great for her because Lylyth is never going to be able to touch her. But I end up getting a little spunky, and during this control phase I put Wraithwalker up. I walked her through the obstruction to the middle of the zone, and then I decided to feat, and I rolled pretty decent on this one. I think I got 7 or 6 or 7 targets out of this one, so that ends up being my whole battle group. And I think we start out with a couple shield guards, and then that ends up getting kicked over because of some more rule issues that come up, which we'll get to in a little bit. But Deathjack and the Slayer, their whole goal this turn is to just run forward and flood Ethan's side of the table. You can see that Deathjack is less than 6 inches away from Lylyth, and that's really not a good spot for her to be in with him. I put my Arc Node on the opposite side of the wall. I probably could have kept it on the defensive side of the wall, but I feel like with a Corporeal up, Ethan's got to pick and choose what he wants to do here, and it's going to get really weird. The Ironmongers are even getting aggressive forward, so we can get out curses easy. And the shield guards all move up to keep Deneghra safe, just to get those extra magical shots out of there. And I think now we're getting to the point where Ethan says, you can't shield guard when you're in Corporeal, and I'm like, I did not know that. So I end up switching it to the Ironmongers, and I think that works out overall.
So this was my biggest fear of Denny going first, her just feeding aggressively top of 2, and then me basically saying, what the hell do I do? Because I could run Lylyth 14 inches away, and my battle group is out of control because she is Fury 5. So there I'm measuring kill box. I know 100% this turn I have to get pursuit on Deathjack if I want to stand a chance. That way, I can position Zuriel so the Slayer can't get to him, so Deathjack has to go first. Then I can take a free strike and just walk away, and then maybe finally get to do work after his feet turns over. So I have to try and play the long game. But like, it's going to take me a while, and when I first elected like my side, I didn't want to deal with the rebel. As soon as I said it, I said out loud, like, I think I've just screwed myself. And you asked me why, and I was like, I was hoping you didn't notice. But then, like, with Denny stays behind that rock, I cannot kill her, and that feels like the only out of my list. So there, I believe that was Craelix shooting.
Yeah, I think it might have been Craelix shooting some stuff.
Yeah, he aimed, just killed a couple Mechanithralls. That way the Hellion could run his 16 inches without taking free strikes just to get within max 4.
Yep, so I'd end up taking the responsibility of getting you within 4 here.
Yep. So I'm just kind of going through, and this is where I'm trying to figure out where Lylyth can go, because I know I have to go to the left. I have to make a straight line of, like, if something wants to get on me, like, Deathjack is going to have to move first, which will allow me to walk away. But that means like I'm going wide. That means the Mekanoshredder, who I'm hoping can tie up the Arc Node just to keep it engaged, can do some work. And I'm just trying to measure, like there, the Goober runs wide for next turn. That way, if Denny turns around to deal with the Hellion, then I have another contest piece, because I'm in my mind, I have to try and push scenario. So I'm going to go up 1-0 for sure. No chance in hell of me clearing the middle, but I'm hoping he won't be able to get to my flag, hopefully. So there the Ice Witches go. I'm just Puppet Mastering, or getting in position, the Puppet Master, because I want Lylyth to have it. And then I want the other one up there. She does a spray. She misses 2 of them.
Yeah, I think there were 3 Mechanithralls, and you failed to kill 2 of them.
Yep. I needed 6 as the hit, and I missed 2 of them. That one tried to shoot the Arc Node and missed. So there... Oh, the middle one, I believe, did the same thing, but she actually hit.
So I think you're still kind of choking on what to do here. This is a hard feat turn for you to kind of untie. You've got a lot of options and choices, and I think you're. I mean, well, it's you kill box yourself, or
I actually debated kill boxing myself, and here is where I make a colossal screw up. So I'm like, okay, maybe I can clear off some dudes back there. And, like, I think I literally say here, like, I just walk Zuriel into melee range. So now even if I pursuit, Zuriel can't walk away because Deathjack will just sack his move. He won't move.
Yeah, I don't need to move if you give me Zuriel.
Yep, so now, like, in my mind, I've just lost Zuriel, and that was going to be my big game plan for countering his feat. So I'm just doing some sprays back there, trying to clear off dudes to maybe push the long game if Deathjack has to waste his activation. And by waste, I mean literally bully the middle of the board, killing Zuriel. So I'm able to spray. I leave 1 Thrall on 1 box on fire, so I put up Elusive. So I'm like, maybe he'll miss a 3. That's unlikely, but maybe. And then Lylyth, she's walking still. She has to put up Pursuit so she doesn't die at least. And then just measuring where she can go. I measure from the front of her base just so that way I can know the max distance. And then she goes up, shoots Deathjack, who is engaged, because even while you're in Corporeal, it can be engaged. We forgot that, so Brian's kind enough to let me boost, because I believe we had to pause here, and I looked it up. And that's where we find out, like, yep, you're still engaged. So Brian lets me boost eventually.
Yeah, and your eyes aren't failing you. I did zoom in on War Room, and it didn't crash.
Mine did. That's why I had to wait for him to find it. So I miss. I Puppet Master. I miss. I boost my second shot. That one actually hits. And now I do no damage, and I Pursuit and sit naked, because that's what you have to do when you're Lylyth. So now I have Pursuit up at least. I'm worried about Zuriel dying, but at least I'm going to try and flood with some of these like solos, Mechanishredders that can't make attacks, but at least they'll be in the way.
Yeah, because now with me being so deep into the zone, you really do have to worry about me closing out scenario fast.
Yep, and this turn has taken forever for me making 6 attack rolls. Mm-hmm. No, because Zuriel went up and sprayed, but like it's just a lot to try and plan out through his feet, and I need this turn to go well, otherwise he's going to roll me next turn. And like there, I'm putting the Bolt Thrower up, so if Deathjack wants to move around, he's going to have to try and like move some angles, and like I'm worried about Hellmouth tricks of him dragging stuff out of the way, so I just run some stuff and pass turn.
But I think you have to move a Spellmarker quick.
Yep, I forgot to move her, so I ran her around.
My feat had the intended effect. My goal here was to just kind of present the army in a way that Ethan couldn't, like, you just can't deal with it when you don't have the tools, right? I mean, we've already talked about how Deneghra is kind of a gear check. Well, we haven't talked about it. Maybe I'm just thinking about it in the future or in the past when we talked about
it in person, but we haven't talked about it in channel.
Yes. So now I just get to be able to run the table right now. I do worry about pursuit because like there's a chance that I could try and get onto Lylyth, but then she'll just back away, and that's not gonna do me any good here. So I decide that my goal is to just kind of play this longer game of attrition. And the Ironmongers go up. They curse the Bolt Thrower and Zuriel. This way I'm hitting really reliably. And Deathjack is fully loaded. And my Slayer, I decide to not put any focus on him because I feel like Deathjack should be able to get all of the work done in the middle here. And at least I've got the power-up stuff from Deathjack. And then this way, if things don't come up great for them, Deneghra can kind of put her influence into the zone there. But I think now we're going... I'm kind of dealing with, like, how do I want to execute this turn? If I want to try and play the long game, I need to also pay attention to scenario. And my poor little Necrotech is not going to be able to kill that Hellion. So I decide to use a Shadow Step to turn Deneghra around and then charge the Hellion. I decide that this is probably the best way for me to get rid of her. I keep her a little bit further back so I can keep my Jacks in control for next turn because I do have to try and, have some forethought on how this goes for later. But we end up taking our first hit and connecting, and then I'm thinking, do I want to Dark Banish her? It is a really cool ability, so I decide that I do want to Dark Banish her to feed her off to the rest, or to get her away from the flag, and this way I can keep some focus on me. In hindsight, it probably would have been better to just buy the attacks on the Hellion to kill it if I'm going for this scenario game. I mean, Ethan's only got 4 minutes and 20 seconds left, so expertly past time, but that just means that if he's going to be contesting and trying to roll the clock on me, he's a little bit disadvantaged because of the low time he's got. So I figure that it's better for me to just not take the attacks. Next up, it's unfortunate that my dice couldn't be caught here, but Deathjack needs a 3 to hit Zuriel, and the Slippery Bastard elusived away because I got double ones.
Yep,
so
on the third attack.
So that means now that I've got to put some work into the Bolt Thrower, and I take it down just fine with enough focus left to cast out a Venom. And I think I'd put this out on...
You did on Lylyth and the Shepherd.
Yeah, and then I think I didn't hit either of them. So that was...
hit Lylyth.
Yeah, so I hit Lylyth, did a little bit of damage, maybe.
Yep, because she, you did, I think, 4 damage to her.
But then I didn't deal with the Shepherd. So again, I decided now that since Ethan's kind of put himself in that position, I can charge off with the Slayer, and I roll flippin' ones again. So he elusives out, and Zuriel's still there. So I'm really unhappy about Zuriel being there, but there's something very important about where Zuriel's at, and that is out of control.
Yep, as soon as I did it, I'm like, I just fucked up Zuriel because this is my first time playing a Fury 5 Warlock outside Who's the Boss.
I will take just a hot second to say that if I had my better judgment back then, I probably would have just said you can just keep him in control, but then I think things would have gotten a little weird in terms of where he would be positioned. So maybe it wasn't the greatest thing for me to just let this moment go on.
So, I mean, I moved him up. I was low on clock. My first instinct was I get to kill Denny, so I just went as close as I could so I could charge her next turn.
Yep.
But that takes me out of control. And, of course, he frenzies. So I threw away a chance to overwrite my terrible pursuit play by moving Zuriel into melee. And then here we're going to try and go for Denny. And then we realize, wait, my Far Strike bot is dead. I can't snipe. And she's out of my threat. So at this point... I think I'm screwed because I can't get the Denny. I can't activate Zuriel. So I'm just going to try and be cute here. He walks around, tries to spray the dude, rolls terrible, leaves him on 3. Because I was hoping if I could score his flag, score my flag, I could pull out a scenario win. But now I'm just running dudes that get in the way. Lylyth runs 14, and I run a Goober up.
So Ethan is sitting at 3 control points to my 1, so I feel like I'm kind of in this, not panic mode, but I do have 8 minutes left, and in Brawl Machine that doesn't feel like a lot of time to me, especially since almost every single thing in my army is still alive that does work. So what I decide to try and figure out here is, can I get to Lylyth with some spells, because she doesn't have any transfer targets.
She has Zuriel.
maybe I was thinking I kill Zuriel first and then kill the transfer target. So I think I curse with the lone Ironmonger left, and the Slayer goes up with I think I didn't put any focus on him, so he just started punching and left Zuriel on just 3 boxes. That means that Deathjack needs to come, and I forget about stupid pursuit, so Lylyth kind of scuttlebutts backwards. But I do have Zuriel gone, and now I can kind of math out where Deneghra can go, because I think Ethan didn't quite get her far enough away from Deneghra to be safe.
Yeah, I watched him map out his range to get to her, and I thought that was the max range, so I just scooted back a little bit.
Yep, and when I was talking about this, it was more, in my head, I was mapping it out with, can I get there without casting Shadow Step? And when Lylyth was where she was at, I could get to where she was with no Shadow Step, and that was fine. It meant I could get another Venom out. But now I have to cast Shadow Step to get there, so I don't think this was a skeezy pull. It was just maybe not asking the right questions.
It was me watching you math out stuff and not asking what you're mathing out.
Yeah.
Because I thought you were going to kill... Like, I didn't think you'd give me the pursuit move, and then you did, so I just panic moved instead of actually wasting my minute to ask.
Yeah. So I get the 3 inches for the Necrotech to charge, and I'm just like, maybe he'll get lucky, and he sure does flatten that Hellion. So now the flag's up on mine, so if it comes down to points, I've got that dealt with. So now I am opting to Shadow Step with Deneghra up to the wall here. She did Wraith Walk this turn because I didn't last turn, and the main reason why I need this is to not take the free strike from the Gobber, not that it matters, but mostly to get over the wall too. I guess I didn't charge, so it doesn't matter. I walked through the Goober. So I go up and I just Venom, connect, and drop Lylyth. So that was the run for Deneghra, and 2 assassinations, which I think is interesting, at least because I don't think we've had like real good assassination plays in Brawl Machines up until now.
Yeah.
Like, we've always been attritioning at the 25-point limit, and over here we've just, like, each game between the 2 of us ended in assassination.
You've assassinated me a couple times. Usually you play casters that are nearly impossible to assassinate.
I just really like the grind.
Yeah, and I don't. You just play really tanky casters with solid feats. And again, like, game 2, I only had a chance because you didn't put your shield guards next to Denny.
Yep, that was some poor planning on my part.
And this time, I only got a chance on Denny.
Because of the fucking elusive. Oh my god, double ones.
I was going to say because you left behind the rock when you did not need to at all.
I didn't need to, but I guess I was just feeling spunky, and I was like, let's do this and get to, because I was like, I love my favorite rule about Deneghra 2 is Dark Banishing. I wanted to, like, I miss the days of Body and Soul where you get to pursuit their caster on the bottom of, or on the top of 0, I guess, and then run Deneghra forward when they decide to move their caster, and then say, if you don't leave your deployment line, I'm going to charge something and Dark Banish you into my heavies. It was so fun for one person.
Yeah, what an asshole.
So I wanted to try and get some use out of that. So that's why I had thrown the Hellion away, because I just have this preoccupation with Dark Banishing. But also Reapers, like, I could have probably tried to fit a Reaper in this list for more movement shenanigans to make Deneghra 2 cool. But, like, in general, I just really wanted to project the threat of the army and just say, I'm going to go out here and be a boss, and there's nothing you can do about it.
I mean, you gave me a chance the next turn because you Wraith Walkered that turn, so you couldn't go back through the obstruction. So, like, in my mind, I was hoping to literally get a line to her next turn, and then you Shadow Stepped, charged backwards.
Yes, that was a little bit of it, because I was like, I could stay up here in Camp 7 and just be fine, but I needed Deneghra to clear the flag, because I can't leave that flag alone, because the way that I was positioned in here and the way that I wasn't clearing the zone, because I was 2 models away from being able to clear that. Zuriel was not supposed to be here, and that Shepherd sure was not supposed to survive a Venom. So
Zuriel was supposed to be there if he didn't walk into melee range with Deathjack. Like, I just played that so bad. Like, as soon as I put him down, like, I just fucked up, and
But there's a lot of, like, weird stuff that goes on with Deneghra 2. Like, we had mentioned it or alluded to it a little bit before, but man, she's a gear check. And when I say that, I mean that if you do not have the tools in your army to deal with her feat, she will smoke you.
Yep, if you do not have magical weapons, which the first game was 1 model, which was tied to a POW 12 gun, which is dice -9 on her battle group.
Yep.
Or dice -11 against Deathjack. Like, that's super fun. I don't have magical weapons in my battle group. Like,
yeah, Zuriel doesn't even have magical blades.
No, I don't have a Naga in the list, and like maybe that's gotta have to be a sideboard thing just for incorporeal check. And I think that's we've talked about before. Like there are certain things in Brawl, if you do not have an answer, they will roll you, and there's not much you can do. And like mass incorporeal, like Denny 2's feat is one thing, and then Hellmouth on top of it. Like I had no way to stop the pushes, to stop the like dragging me in, like no Earth's Blessing or something like that. So it's like you get to run the table with your feet, and then you get to dictate the alpha because you can protect your dudes before they go in with shield guards, and then bury deep, and then I can't really do anything.
Well, and that's it kind of like drifts back to that Striker 2 conversation that we had, where Deneghra 2 kind of feels like another shovel caster between Hellmouth, Curse of Shadows, Shadow Step, and Dark Banishing. Like, she can really do whatever she wants to, and Damnation on top of that. Like, it's really difficult to get yourself out of any situation that you try to set up for her, and when you are trying to counter her setups, it still feels really weird because you were placing yourself to make sure that Hellmouth wasn't a problem, and you played your turn 2 or your turn 1 really well, but that didn't take into account the jamming with my entire battle group, or army for that matter.
No, I knew that was coming. There was no stopping that.
Yeah. I guess it's just, to me, it feels like Deneghra just has a lot of solutions, but like her shoveling in the game is more like, not only is she getting herself out of bad situations, she's also kind of digging your grave. Because no matter what she does, she's totally hamstringing a piece of your army. And at 25 points, that really hurts.
Yeah, like if you just don't, like most magical weapon stuff, unless you have them based, like if you have a soul that gives it, usually it's like modeled unit, like if it's a guidance bot, or like maybe like there's the Tharn Shaman who hands it out to a whole unit, so like that could play into the feat, but like I just didn't have the tools. Like even if I had a Naga, I could incorporeal, that would actually help a lot, because then I could magical weapon Zuriel, but again, like that's not in my sideboard, so like maybe that's just a thing that has to come up in a two-list pairing, like you need an answer for incorporeal, but there's so much like gear checks, I don't think you can account for them in Brawl. Like you need an RFP thing, otherwise recursions are going to gear check you. You need anti-tough, otherwise like if you don't have stuff to stop tough no knockdown, like that can be really strong at Brawl. You need a thing to deal with incorporeal. Did I already say that?
Maybe. I mean, there's just a lot of things, right?
Yeah.
It feels almost like, when you're thinking of it from a competitive mindset, right, which some people will with Brawl Machine, the way that most people build their list at 75 is you're either asking a question or answering questions. And I think in Brawl Machine, that still kind of works, but a little bit more on the extreme side. Like if you ask a bunch of questions with your two lists, I feel like you're going to find a place where someone just cannot answer everything. Like it's going to get into the list chicken thing. And maybe that's just like the natural process of the two list pairing deal. Like, I mean, we already know it is because that's how the game plays anyways. But like in Brawl Machine, it's a little bit more exaggerated, I feel.
Yeah, and this matchup, we just went in with one list. I already had my list determined. Like,
yeah,
I knew I was going to play Lylyth.
Very worth mentioning. We only had one list each.
And like when we were sitting here and like Brian was figuring out his list, he was like, "Oh, maybe I'll play Scar 2," and I was like, "Oh, that'll be an interesting game." And then like, you're like, "Oh, what about Denny 2?" And I was like, I didn't want to influence the matchup, so like in my head, I was like, "Please, dear God, do not play Denny 2 because I am boned." Because like the archers are just going to do anything. I thought like, oh, into Scar 2 we'll have a weird matchup of casters that don't really see that play that often. Then you're like, I'm going to whip out Denny 2.
I Striker 2'd you.
And then like Hellmouth is just so good. I've been meaning to try Wormwood, but he at least has the restriction of being an immobile caster.
Yeah.
And like it's hard to bring souls with him at 25, whereas like with Deathjack, you can double Hellmouth every turn, and I can't stop it.
And with the very like, I know in it doesn't matter so much in Brawl Machine because they can't be taken, but it's Sentry Stones that can't be taken.
Yeah, you can't take Sentry Stones.
Shifting Stones in the Wormwood list have typically been the Hellmouth targets, right? The Hellmouth instigators, so to speak.
Yeah, you have one unit teleporting Wormwood, you have one unit for Hellmouth, but now in Brawl, like they need to escort Wormwood, because if Cassius gets sniped in Brawl, like
yeah, then that's that.
That's it. Like,
but with this Deneghra list, having the Mechanithralls in here, it's like better Sentry Stones. I mean, I don't get the place, but I can run further, and I end up having 3 shield guards bolted onto me that are actually kind of hard to take out.
Yeah, they're 8 boxes, armor 14, and they combo strike to power 19s, like, right? 19s?
Yeah, 19, 21 if you've got Curse of Shadows on something. So, like, they're very multi-purposed.
Yeah, for 2 points, like, they're bananas.
They're really good. So it was definitely fun to get this style of list on the table again. I haven't played Black Industries Deneghra 2 since, like, I think when Goreshade, it was 20 Cryx. I remember it now. 20 Cryx was when I last put this list on the table. So it was fun to get back to her and see that she's got some, not interesting game in Warmachine, but she can be a real busting list. Like she can get you real hard.
Yeah. If you don't have an answer, I don't know. We've gone down that rabbit hole of like, okay, you've removed TK. Now what's the next best spell in the game? And I'd argue Hellmouth.
I still think it's probably a Rebuke, but I could see Hellmouth being a real
Hellmouth
consideration
is good
for
into battle group heavy lists because it helps you get the alpha.
Yeah,
like it gives you plus 6-inch threat that
it's like
is non-linear.
It's AOE TK,
and it's infantry clearing that RFP is like. It's a super versatile spell, and
it kills infantry, extends threat, pushes guys out of threat. It just you're right.
And the fact you never have to make an attack roll against your opponent.
Yep.
Like I've murdered Kayazi several times by hitting a Def 5 model. Like it feels really good. And that Brawl, it just kind of exemplifies like you have throwaway Mechanithralls that are less like 1 point a model.
Yeah, they're 1 point per model in this list.
So
when you take the min unit, they're 1 point.
If they reach my support, it's just like deleted.
Yep. And those Ironmongers too, they kind of like layer that TK feel to it because it's kind of like turning you backwards with the +2 to hit. I mean, if you had shields, it wouldn't matter, but there's just a lot of really cool utility with this list, and I think I wouldn't disagree. If Deneghra 2 didn't have Hellmouth, I don't think Hellmouth would really be in the discussion because the other casters that have it don't utilize it as like she does.
I mean, Wormwood does at 75 when he has the
But those
souls.
are all his resources too.
Yes.
Whereas with and I'm taking 23 points for this, but 23 points for a POW 18 heavy with 3 initials and
5 focus
and the ability to cast my own Hellmouth at no cost to me whatsoever. Like this is probably where Hellmouth feels wrong.
And the fact that he can be incorporeal in Hellmouth too.
Yeah.
Like I don't have a magic weapon heavy. What do I do?
I think Deathjack's fists are magical too, so he's just got everything on top of him.
I mean, he's expensive as hell.
He's expensive, but man, does it feel good when he does his work for his 23 points? Like in all 3 of these games, he did not go down. And I mean that's weird to say because like we have the feat that protects him, and most of these ended in all of them ended in assassination. So of course he's going to live to the end. But like I just didn't feel like my army was being whittled down that much.
No, the only chance I had was game 3 where I was like, okay, I can kill Deathjack next turn, or at least cripple him because now all the repair boys will hopefully be dead. And then I just walked into melee range for some stupid reason to spray Mechanithralls. That didn't matter. And then to switch focus a little bit, like I wanted to talk about Lylyth a little bit because she was one of those casters where I thought Brawl could really help her out, and to an extent it can, but then like she just can't do everything. Like, and even like other casters just kind of do it better. Like I can't Spine Burst every turn. I can't Parasite. I can't do the things like Fury 5. It's just so rough.
Well, and I think that's having played a couple Fury 5 Warlocks myself. I mean, they're trolls, so they're like fake Fury 5. But one of the things that I've noticed about it is that when you look at it through the Lylyth lens, one of the things that makes her better than what I think people respect her for at 75 is that she ends up leaning on her army a lot to do a bunch of work. Like we're thinking, maybe single. You at least have single Nyss Raptors in there, at least those. And when you combine those with Parasite against living things, like they do a ton of work with Lylyth. And then the Eruption of Spines can help her deal with more infantry options. And the feat actually broadcasts a lot of power with the models that don't get to normally boost, like your Strider Rangers, or maybe even your like here with your Archers. But at 25 points, the problem with her is that she doesn't have the rest of the army to heavy lift for her.
Yeah, and even her feat, like it doesn't feel like that powerful of a feat.
It sure doesn't feel like a feat.
Like it's not a Gorton level feat that's like, okay, this is okay because it's on a Fury 5 caster. Like this feels like it's just like a feat you'd see on other caster card, and then you're like, oh, Why is she Fury 5?
Lylyth's feat is like a polyester suit. Like, it's from a different time, and it has not aged well.
Nope.
Not even hipsters that are digging through the barrels of St. Vinny's want that feat.
It's like, maybe she's just like a harmonious away from being like, because then maybe she could shoot something, a witch market, get Parasite out, shoot something else, witch market, get Spine Burst out, like, but then she's camping 0 and can't boost a hit unless it's feet turn, or with her Eruption of Spines or get Pursuit. It's just like, why does she have like 3 cost spells and then like not the Fury to do it, so you can do 1 a turn?
Well, and I think everyone could agree that when the Warlocks from Mark II Battle Box came around and transitioned into Mark III, there really wasn't a good one among them. Like the Scorn one, like Morgul 1's okay. He made the transition to Mark III all right.
Yeah.
But Kaya 1, no, she did not make that transition all right.
She didn't even make the transition in Mark II. And I played her for 8 months because I was trying to like...
You're like,
Kaya
Spirit
1,
Door is so cool.
It is really cool. Like, I was like, Kaya 1 has to be playable. And I just forced myself after event after event. And everyone's like, every freaking game, people are like, oh, you're playing Kaya 2. I'm like, shut your fucking mouth. It's Kaya the Wildborn, and she's going to do something in this game.
Yep. You're going to be the person who got beat by Kaya 1.
I did beat somebody. It was awesome.
Yeah. It was like round 3 when you were 0-3. So, like, Madrak 1, even though he's a bonkers beast right now, he was not good before. Like, the best you could do with him is be like, I took like double bog trogs and ambushed him. Now, I know we're like getting into that really taboo talk of like, well, Mark II, back in those days, I tell you, things were so different. But like, Lylyth 1 was never good. Not when she came out, not when she was in Mark II or made the transition to Mark III, and she's not great now. Like, even at 75 points, you really have to work to get her to do what you want to. And I think like, she deserves a rework. Lylyth deserves something better.
The problem is, like, you can't give her an extra Fury because now that makes Lylyth 3 too good, and Lylyth 2 can stay in the pit where she's fucking dead after I played into her so many times in Mark 2, which feels spiteful to say. But, like, she had her time in the sun. She can stay dead. Give my girl Lylyth 1 something. Like, just give it.
Yeah, she deserves it after all these years. I mean, like, when Circle's next CID comes around, I'd like to see Kaya 1 get a rework, but like, it's going to be all focus and attention on Tanith, which I'm okay with too. Like, Tanith was really cool before themes came around, and now she's like, since she's tied to themes, I think it's Circle's themes that are really the problem, though. It's like, if you're not Tharn, then what are you? Or not Tharn or World War.
That's a debate. Like, that's a discussion where we could have for a long time, and I feel like that's not worth getting into in this random battle report that has nothing to do with Circle.
I know, yeah, we're going off the rails here, but Lylyth deserves better than even our conversation pulling into Circle themes.
Yeah, I wanted to make her work, and she could do work if like that was her plan all turn, all game, and then the rest of army is self-sufficient.
And then
which it
Wraith
isn't.
Witch Deneghra just didn't flop her incorporeal battle group down and just say, suck it, nerd.
Yeah.